welcome back. Today I thought I would take you along with me as I make this red raspberry leaf tea blend. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a couple weeks now. It's been on my to-do list and I've finally gathered my herbs and I'm ready to make it. I'm using a recipe from the famous herbalist Rosemary Gladstar, so I will tell you what she uses in hers and how mine's going to deviate a little bit from that, but I'm really going to use her recipe. It's a good one. And I will show you what other things go in here. Welcome to Mrs. Crunchy, where we discuss natural living in a modern world. It is not for everyone, so I can't provide an exhaustive list of everyone who should check with their healthcare provider, but as always, please do before incorporating anything into your regimen. Now let's get into it. I'll show you step by step how I make this tea. First, the foundation for this pregnancy tea blend is red raspberry leaf, which has been known for a very long time as a very useful herb for especially women because it can tone the entire female reproductive system, including the uterus, which we know is very important when it comes to delivering babies, which is why many women will choose to drink this later on in their pregnancy in order to prepare their bodies for birth. Now, even if you don't believe in all of that, it does contain very important vitamins and minerals that are useful during pregnancy, and we do know this much. So it includes vitamin C, vitamin E, and vitamin A. These vitamins can help maintain not only your overall health, but it also supports your immune system, and it also contains minerals like calcium, iron, and then potassium and magnesium. Potassium and magnesium are electrolytes, which are something that can be very useful even during labor. So some women will choose to drink this tea while they are actually giving birth. The next herb I'm adding is nettle, which is very high in iron and, similar to red raspberry leaf, can increase milk supply. Next up is mint. This happens to be spearmint, which is what I grow. This is actually the last of the dried reserves that I had from last year. I wanted to use it up, but I didn't have quite enough for the recipe, so I ended up supplementing, you'll see later on, with some fresh mint. But mint is known for being a digestive aid, so some common concerns among pregnant women are indigestion or gas, bloating, and this can help with that. Also, mint has a very cooling effect. So think about where they drink mint tea, like in Morocco, where it's really hot and dry. So especially during the summer, this can be very useful. This is oat straw, and oat straw is an herbal nerve tonic, meaning that it tones and strengthens your nervous system. So for any pregnant women that are experiencing things like irritability, stress, or just general weakness. I know, uncommon. I'm sure none of you have ever felt that way, but this can be good for that. And oat straw is also full of wonderful vitamins and minerals, so same things like potassium and magnesium like red raspberry leaf, but also high in some of the B vitamins as well. Next is lemongrass, which is typically associated with Southeast Asian cooking. And if you're familiar with it, you know that it adds a really nice flavor, like a really bright citrusy flavor. But in addition to that, it's also full of vitamins and minerals, and it has folate, which is essential for cell development and growth, which is really important, obviously, during pregnancy. For future batches, I might play around with adding some of the fresh lemon balm that I have growing in my garden for no other reason, just that I have a lot of it, and I think it would also add some nice stress relieving properties potentially. Now I'm adding the strawberry leaf, which, similar to red raspberry leaf, is very high in tannins, so it has a very astringent quality to it, meaning that it helps to tone the entire system, not only the female reproductive system, but it's also said to help tone the digestive system. So for anyone experiencing diarrhea, they have used strawberry leaf as a tea to help heal that for many, many years. But also, if you are experiencing things like bloating, which is very common among pregnant women, any kind of water retention, it acts as a diuretic, so it can help relieve that as well. Finally, I'm adding some stevia leaf, and it's taken me several batches to sort of figure out how much I like in it. I usually like about a tablespoon, and notice that I'm using the actual dried leaf. This is what I'm comfortable with. I never buy like the white powdered form of stevia, as I personally feel that it's highly refined, and therefore you're more likely to have adverse side effects from using it, as opposed to using the natural whole leaf. But you have to decide what you're comfortable with. It is optional in Rosemary's recipe, and I could easily do without it as well. So sometimes if I don't have it, I just don't include it. And so if you don't feel comfortable with it, simply leave it out. The small amount of stevia that I'm using really doesn't make the tea sweet by any means, but it does give it a little slight hint of sweetness, which is why I like to include it when I do have it. Next, I mix it all up with, I use clean hands, which mine were, but you could use a spoon or whatever you want if you're less comfortable with using bare hands. But I feel like this is part of the fun, and this is going to go into woo-woo territory, but I like giving it the energy from using my hands, and it's just, yeah, a really pleasant experience mixing it all up, and it just feels like something that people have done for a very long time. And in fact, they have. I don't know why I'm saying it feels, because people have done this for a very long time, and they used to pass it on generation to generation, the various recipes and the various herbal remedies that they would use for women during pregnancy and childbirth. For much of history, midwives were herbalists, and that is what they used. And so there has been a very strong tradition of herbalism being intertwined with midwifery. Now, if you're using the same half cup equaling 1 part that I used, then this recipe should fill a quart-sized jar, which is what I'm doing. And it actually had a little bit extra, which was perfect because I wanted to make a batch of tea right away. So I just used whatever was extra in that. Now I'm going to store it in a cool, dry, and dark place. And I've seen anywhere from estimates of about a year for any dried leaves for as far as how long they will last. However, it's going to depend on the vibrancy, the quality of the herbs when you receive them. So just look at them. If they start to look dull, if they have started to lose their flavor, these are signs that perhaps your herbs are not going to be as effective, and you should probably just compost them. Now, I will note that in Rosemary Gladstar's original recipe, she includes comfrey leaf. And this is not to say that she's wrong. She's very knowledgeable and has done her research, which is something that I really recommend that you do as well. I personally am not going to include the comfrey. The potential benefits of the comfrey do not outweigh the potential risks for me. Also, I'm going to be sharing it most likely with my son, who really likes tea, and I thought this would be a nice way for me to share a non-caffeinated sun tea, cold iced tea, hot tea with him. So because I'm going to be sharing this tea with little people who are not able to digest things as well as I am, I have chosen not to include it in my recipe. Now I'll show you what I feel is the simplest method for making the tea that I've been doing since it is the middle of summer and I'm in my 3rd trimester, so a priority is staying cool. I definitely wanted to add in some of the mint, because remember, I didn't have quite enough, but I do have tons growing fresh, so I went and picked some and I added some, about, I would say, I don't know, at least 2 tablespoons, which is equal to about 2 teaspoons of the dried herb. And I also went ahead and added some fresh red raspberry leaf. Again, I don't have near enough to make the batch that I was making, but I can add little parts of it in. And in general, fresh is better than dried because it hasn't been sitting out, it hasn't lost any of its properties really. In this case, since I'm combining both fresh herbs and dried herbs, I'm putting in my fresh herbs first and I'm going to muddle them. Obviously, I'm not going to include the fresh elements into my dried mixture because I want to be able to store the dried mixture outside of the refrigerator and I want it to keep for a long time. And because of the water content still in the fresh herbs, that's why you can't store them together. So first I muddle the fresh herbs and then I add the dried mixture that I had already made. This French press is very useful for making overnight teas, which is what this is going to be. It holds approximately 4 cups of liquid, so therefore I need either 4 teaspoons of dried herbs or 4 tablespoons of fresh herbs in order to fill the pot. And again, this is to me an art, not a science, so I am estimating based on the fact that I'm using both. I really don't sweat it, and as you can tell, I don't make sure that everything is completely exact. Once I have my herbs in, then I fill it with fresh, clean water. We do have a water filter system. I do personally believe that water quality is important, so if you have access to filtered water, I do think that would be best. And all of my ingredients are organic. So again, especially during pregnancy, that is something that I look for and that I feel is especially important. Once you give your tea a quick stir to make sure all the herbs are submerged in the water, you can go ahead and put the lid on, and I just put this in the fridge overnight. So it might be anywhere from like 8 hours, or it might be longer, 24 hours. Again, I don't really time it down to the minute how long I leave it in, but all I know is that whenever I do that, I wake up to having a nice fresh pot of tea. It will last me the whole day, so I can't really imagine taking time out to make a fresh cup of tea each time I want it, and this way it's already cold. I haven't made this blend since my last pregnancy, so it's been a couple of years, and I forgot how much I enjoyed it. It is really refreshing. To me, the red raspberry leaf by itself, I could just drink that. It tastes very green and just, I don't know, almost like a green tea flavor, but I really like this blend together, and it's such a treat on a hot day. Now, as far as when to start drinking red raspberry leaf tea during your pregnancy, I'm going to leave that one to you. I would suggest that you consult your trusted healthcare provider on that, because there are mixed answers that you're going to receive. The one thing that I do see that people tend to acknowledge is that because one of the effects could be a possible encouragement of contractions, people avoid suggesting to use it during your first trimester. So most recommendations are during the second or the third trimester, and same thing with quantity. It's going to depend on what your provider recommends. I hope this video helped you or encouraged you to try making your own red raspberry leaf tea blend if that interests you as something to consume during pregnancy. And that's all I have for today, and I will see you all again soon.